Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. The Canadians somehow squeak out a 4-3 shootout win over the Florida Panthers here on home ice. I think I believe our 8th win in a row against the Florida Panthers, which is incredibly impressive considering the fact that the Florida Panthers are a very, very solid team. Not so much this year, but obviously they gave us everything that they could throw at us in this game, and we still found a way to get a win here. Will I say that it's a game that we deserve to win? Absolutely not. I feel like the execution for the Canadians was just not there for a majority of this game. A lot of just turnovers and things like that ended up going the wrong way. That we iced the puck like 20 times in this game. Just so many things that didn't quite go the way that I wanted them to go. Just like all of the goals that they score are just on turnovers, like failure to do the basics, all that kind of stuff. And like obviously I think a lot of times in this game we got carried by our bottom lines there, doing a lot of the grunt work. Obviously Phil Deneau ended up scoring a goal in this game. The top line / power play contributes to a couple of them, but unfortunately, obviously we get the win. Like obviously you can't complain too much about that. And I think they said in the broadcast as well in this one that it's very common for teams to kind of have a little bit of a lull in terms of their production value after clinching the playoffs and having games to go. That's obviously something we didn't get to experience last year because we clinched on game 82. But going on this year, we've got a handful of games left in the season that not entirely worthless, but we're not necessarily fighting for the same goal that we were the entire season long. We have clinched a playoff spot, so I think that might be a little bit of what's going on there. I think a little bit of that and a little bit of injury stuff going on, shaking up the lines a little bit. Obviously, there's still some pressure involved in getting Cole that 50th goal there. That's still very much seems to be on the minds of the players here. Obviously, I think we settled down a little bit, and obviously we got a win. I think that's got to be a big confidence booster, no matter how you get the win. A W is a W, as they say. So, definitely an interesting game all the way around. But I think this game we still got to improve in a lot of ways. Got to execute a lot better than we have, in the past couple of games. In this game specifically, if we want to be contending for a Stanley Cup at the end of the summer here. So, a W is a W. We love that. Obviously, there's a difference between what we see in Game 78 and what we see on playoffs Game 1. Hopefully, anyway, but we got to see what happens here as we go down the stretch and find a way to start executing a little bit better here. So going into this game here, Carter Verhaeghe gets the first goal of the game just about halfway through the first period. Just kind of a broken play. We end up giving them a little bit of a rush. We give I think Sobrano or something like that for Florida, kind of like a red carpet all the way down the middle of the ice there. He's just wide open going all the way down. He takes a shot, Dobish the big save, but then the rebound comes right onto the stick of Verhaeghe, who doesn't make any mistake there. He scores his 25th of the year from a short angle there, but we just gave them the middle of the ice. We're all just kind of backing up into our own zone, not really helping out our goaltender, and when you don't help the goaltender, things like that are bound to happen. That's exactly what happens in this one. So again, like the entire first period is just no execution. Nobody's really getting any chances whatsoever. Maybe a couple here and there, but there's really nothing to write home about. In the second period, that changes a little bit. Ivan Demidov gets his 18th goal of the season in the power play. Cole Caulfield, who is taking up a role as a playmaker a little bit. He's got a number of assists since getting to 49 goals, but no 50th goal. Still love that though. Obviously, you're playing to win. Doesn't matter who scores goals. Doesn't matter what the stats are. What only thing that matters is how we perform and if we get the win or the loss there. And I really respect the idea that Cole Caulfield is looking for his teammates and making really solid passes. These are some of his best assists of the season, with 1 goal away from 50 on the table there. So I really respect that from Cole Caulfield. He's still looking for his teammates and still trying to make good setup plays, and it works out wonderfully. Caulfield gets a nice cross-ice pass that finds Demidov. He one-times this one past Tarasov for the 1-1 tie there. That's a great shot by Demidov. He was one of our best players out there the whole night. Had a really, really great game, in my opinion. Nice goal there. Obviously, Caulfield gets his 37th assist. Very nice pass. And Slavkovsky with the break into the zone there on the power play gets his 39th assist there. So great work by all three of those guys, getting us back in this game. Obviously, keeping things tight. Doesn't last for a too long, though. At the end of the second period there, Cole Reinhardt has a nice little break in. All starts because Jaden Struble is trying to, flat-footed get a stick on Reinhardt, and it doesn't really work. I don't really understand what exactly is going on there, but Struble is essentially not moving in the neutral zone. It just tries to get a stick on the puck, and he's beat, and then there's just no way he's going to get back into the play after that. He's just completely gone, and then it's a one-on-one there, and Cole Reinhardt is able to make enough of a move to get a shot off, and unfortunately that shot, even though it would not have gone in the net, normally goes off of Dobesh's foot and then into the back of the net. So an unfortunate break there, but also very much a preventable goal if we play a little bit more solid defense, backcheck a little bit better, possess the puck a little bit better, you name it. Those things don't happen to us. So unfortunately the tie game is no longer. Go to the third period, though, and Phillip Danault gets himself a sixth goal of the season there. He's been playing very, very well ever since he got to Montreal, which is great. And he gets us tied back up at 2-2. A great all-around effort by that entire line. I thought all of those guys had a really, really great night. Those depth players on this team. That's exactly what you need in the playoffs. I mean, it's not often that, the best players in the game are the ones who score, the cup-winning goals or the goals that, send you to the next round or whatever. It does happen, obviously. But, like you can think of a lot of guys, like you think of like Brian Bickle or something like that for Chicago back in the day, who was scoring goals to clinch Stanley Cup championships and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's always those guys that, are the unsung heroes that suddenly become the guys who make a big deal in the playoffs and get you into that next round. So we're going to need guys like Phillip Danault as we move towards the playoffs and beyond here. So it's good to see him having a nice night, as well as Josh Anderson, Jake Evans, Bolduc, all of those guys. Phillip Danault gets the goal there off of a nice pass from Dobson, who gets his 35th assist, and Adam Engstrom makes the initial pass and gets himself his first assist, his first point in the NHL. I thought he had a great game as well. He's a really solid skater. He made some really nice plays, got some nice hits in there as well. So good to see him up into the lineup there. Hopefully Gooley is okay. I'm not really sure why Gooley wasn't in the lineup today, but hopefully he'll be ready to go when the time comes for him to come back in. Hopefully in playoffs game 1. But it's really good to see Engstrom out there. I think we're continuing to see like what we have in our depth and that kind of stuff. And I think Engstrom again has proven that he's very much an NHL ready defenseman. It'll be interesting to see if we end up keeping him or trading him, whatever, as the deadline approaches. Obviously, we've got Reinbacher in Laval right now. We'll have to see what we have in him as well. But, again, like very, very cool. Congrats to him on getting his first point in the NHL, and a very good game there overall. Unfortunately, that 2-2 tie, thanks to Danault, only lasts about a minute because Luostarinen gets himself a nice tip-in goal. It's just another one where it's just like we allow them to get pucks into the net. We aren't able to block our shots. We're not able to win puck battles or whatever, and then we're not able to tie up sticks in front of the net. We end up screening our own goalie, and then all of a sudden it's a tip in and we're down by 1 again. So definitely unfortunate there. It's frustrating when that kind of stuff happens. You get the momentum of a 2-2 game. One of your depth guys just went in and scored a big goal for you, and then you go and cough up the lead again, or you give up the lead there. So unfortunate. Again, it's just lack of execution on both ends of the ice in this one that really cost us in this game. And like the way I'm talking makes it sound like we lost, but it's just not a great execution. I feel like I feel sort of like a sore winner a little bit. Like, obviously I want the team to be successful, but obviously I know that in order to have playoff wins and be successful in the playoffs, we're gonna have to be better. We're gonna have to execute more than what we did today. So hopefully even though we won, we can kind of use this as a lesson moving forward. But anyway, Luostarinen scores, and we are down by 1. But of course, not to be denied, obviously we come back all the time. It's kind of a habit at this point for the Canadiens. I think this is their 26th comeback win of the season, which is really, really impressive. Something that will need to be taken into the playoffs at one point or another, I'm sure. Very much like the game that we had, I think, a year or two ago or whatever against the Florida Panthers in the Bell Center. Lane Hutson sets up Nick Suzuki for a last minute goal to tie the game up and send things to overtime. Very, very reminiscent of that game. I think it was on March 15th or something like that 2 years ago. But it was very, very cool to get that win. So Nick Suzuki scores his 28th goal of the season there. Lane Hutson does a ton of the grunt work to make this happen here. We had tons of chances. Cole Caulfield had a great chance to score his 50th goal, blocked by Nick Suzuki. I'm pretty sure his slap shot ended up hitting Nick Suzuki in the back, so that's kind of an unfortunate situation there. Cole Caulfield still looking for that 50th goal. He had some great chances late into the game there, but Lane Hutson makes good use of the neutral zone there and catches a couple of the Florida Panther defensemen kind of flat-footed on the blue line and absolutely flies by all three of them. Makes a nice move on Tarasov, goes around the net, and then slides it through kind of the short side before going all the way around the net. Nick Suzuki is barreling in towards the front of the net and has nothing but net to tap right in, and ends up being a 3-3 game. Nick Suzuki gets that big goal there. So very, very big goal. Obviously, we know what Nick Suzuki can do. He's very, very impressive out there. Lane Hutson continues to be impressive. He got 75 points now. Very, very impressive. Like, there's only so many times I can say that, but it's very, very true. Like, all of these guys have been incredible this season. Suzuki, Hutson, Slavkovsky, the guys getting points on this one. Hutson gets his 63rd assist, and Slavkovsky his 40th assist. So, we never give up. It's been a trope for the Canadians all season long. They never give up. They were always in the game until the very last moment. They proved that again against the Florida Panthers here. It takes us to overtime. Overtime, we get a power play opportunity. We have a couple of great chances on. Slavkovsky almost buried one to end things there. We had some great chances for Demidov. A lot of guys had some good chances in there, but obviously it goes into the shootout, and then we make very, very nice work of the Florida Panthers in the shootout. Florida doesn't really have a whole lot of their good shooters in the shootout, which helped us out a lot. Obviously, Dobesh was absolutely locked in on this one tonight, so that helped as well. Cole Caulfield and Texier both get really nice goals to win 2-0 in the shootout. We end up getting that 4-3 win overall. So, definitely a tale of two different games in a lot of ways, it feels like. I think the Canadians, as I said many times, did not execute well in this one. I feel like there's a lot of things that they could have done better in this game to be more, playoff ready and, looking like, a team that's actually going to contend in, April into, late May, June, all that kind of stuff. But we were able to turn things around. And obviously, even when we're not having our game and we've got all the pressure and all this kind of stuff is going on, we still found a way to make a comeback happen and end up winning this game. And those are big points. Obviously we can't understate how big these points are. Obviously the points have been big, every single time. As things stand right now, obviously we're all three of the top three teams in the Atlantic have clinched a spot in the playoffs, but with Tampa Bay lost tonight, Buffalo not playing tonight, but with that win for the Canadians and a loss for Tampa, all three teams in the top of the Atlantic are tied at 102 points. So it is absolutely anybody's game. We all have 78 games played, all have 102 points. The Canadians are trailing Tampa and Buffalo by regulation wins only, so it's by the tiebreaker right now. And obviously, I don't really think that we're going to be able to catch them on tiebreakers. We only have 4 games left in our season overall, but we only have 4 games left. We could end up getting, more points than Tampa and Buffalo. We could even theoretically catch Carolina. Probably not, but, you never know. But yeah, we're in a 3-way tie for, first in the Atlantic right now in terms of points. And so as we go into the remainder of the season here, we have another game against Tampa Bay coming up on Thursday. That should be a big one for the Canadians. They are 8-2-0 right now. Lightning 6-2-2. So it'll be a great game, a potential first round matchup depending on how things shake out, as I just mentioned. So it'll be a great game as we go into the last 4 games of the regular season here. So again, as I mentioned, that's pretty much all I have for this one. It's a tale of 2 games in a lot of ways. The Canadians need to be better executing, need to be a little bit better and kind of get back into the swing of things in the last 4 games of these regular season games here to get ready for the playoffs. But I have faith in them, and I'm very appreciative of their efforts late in the game there to make a good comeback. And I like to see that will and that drive to get those points here, even in a game that doesn't exactly matter all too much. It's good to see them continue to find ways to win here. So again, that is all I have for this one. We got a huge game coming up Thursday against the Lightning there, and a chance to push ourselves potentially into first in the Atlantic for the first time in a long time. So that is all I have again for this one, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you after hopefully a good 2 points and a better game, more execution, and 2 points against the Lightning on Thursday.